What is up, my thrifty friends? Tabs here from the Urban Goddess shop. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm excited because I feel like this needs to be said. I have been hearing so much about Posh shows and everyone is upset. They're still happening. Lots of people want them to go away. In this video, I'm going to share my strategy and tips for making sales without doing live selling, because you guys know it's just not my jam. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to be a live seller. I do still want to be a reseller, and I think in 2024 you can still make money being a reseller without doing live selling. Let's go into some facts. Poshmark introduced Posh shows at the end of 2022 in beta testing. They did keep it in beta testing for I think like almost a year, but now it is open to everyone. The requirements to be a live seller on Poshmark is 1, you have to have your account open for 60 days. 2, you had to have made 1 sale and it has to be delivered. And number 3 is you must be in good standing with Poshmark. In the past, you also had to be a Posh ambassador to do live selling, but that is not true anymore. You just have to meet those 3 criteria and then you can apply to become a live seller and join their training. Before we jump into the tips and strategies, I wanted to break down just what is live selling. A Posh show or a Posh live show is where the seller goes online on the app, they live stream, and they sell items that they either have in their closet or that they have selected to put into their live show. You can select items that are already listed in your closet, or sometimes they have items that they haven't put into their closet that are fresh. This is also done in real time, and buyers have the option to bid on the items. Sometimes items get bid up, sometimes they sell for whatever the original starting bid was. As a seller, you get to set the time frame that you want the bidding to happen in, and also where you want to start the bids. And those can vary from seller to seller and what type of items they are selling. I know some sellers will start with $1 bids, and some start as high as $50, $100, depending what kind of items that they are selling. Once the time ends, the highest bid is the purchaser, the transaction goes through, and then the seller is responsible for shipping out the item. So that's just kind of like the basics of what a Posh show is, how it's facilitated from the buyers and sellers side. And then one last thing, where do these shows take place? If you are a buyer, you're just going to go onto your app, you're going to go down into your news feed, and when you scroll down a little bit, I think you can look at all Posh live shows. As a seller, if you are wanting to do live shows, you would be doing this from the comfort of your home. That's where they're going to take place. So it's really cool. It's actually really easy to do and facilitate. And I think that's why a lot of people are doing live shows. It's just they're so easy to do. Now, you are probably here, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, because you're like myself and you are not interested in live selling. And that's okay. There are business models for everyone. There is no one size fits all for reselling. We can all do our own thing and our own strategies and still make sales. So do I think that live selling is absolutely killing reselling? No, I don't. I think right now the economy is, but that's like a whole nother topic. I do think that you can still sell traditionally on any platform, doing just regular selling and not going into the live selling. It is important to note that many shoppers are just not interested in sitting in live shows. Like myself, they probably go onto the app, they're looking for a specific item, maybe it's like a brand or a style or an aesthetic, and they're gonna look at what's available in their size, in the colors, like all their different parameters. What they may do is either purchase outright, send you an offer, or like the item and wait for you to send an offer. Those are the customers that we are looking for. If you want to do traditional sales, those are your ideal customers. A few things that I have noticed in live shows, just to go back to that, is there are a lot of mall brands, like a lot of mall brands. If you walk through your shopping mall and you look at those like low to mid-tier brands, those are a lot of what you will see. I also notice a lot of older styles, and this is like generalizing. There are people that sell newer styles, but I do typically see a lot of mall brands and a lot of older styles. The other spectrum of the live selling is wholesale liquidation pallets, where people are doing pallet pulls and selling those. I will also talk about that later in the video because I need to share some information about that, because yeah, I don't think that's always the best way to source as well. We'll table that for one of the tips. Okay, so tip number 1. Stay away from lower ASP mall brand items. And what are these? So I would say like Gap basic tee, Gap tank top, Old Navy, maybe even Banana Republic. I feel like some of their basics haven't been selling as well. H&M. Come on guys, drop in the comments, share what is typically a lower to mid-tier mall brand. I would stay away from their basic or their essential items. These are typically their lower ASP items, therefore they hold a lower value. I also see these a lot in the live shows, so it's harder to compete. Not saying you can't sell. So none of these tips are set in stone. These are just guidelines that I personally follow. If you see success selling these items, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're like me, then these are what my suggestions are. I find it very hard to compete selling these types of items when they are available in live shows for $3 to $5. My cost of goods is probably going to be $3 on one of these items. So if I'm only selling it for $3 to $5, plus I pay Poshmark their crazy commission when items sell like under $15 or $20, it's just not worth it for me. I think if there's anything I've really shied away from in the last year and a half, it is selling those mall brand basic and essential items. Tip number 2, I always look for substantial pieces. So what is a substantial piece? I am looking for jackets, pants like slacks or dress pants or jeans, sweaters, shoes, boots, anything that is like worth more. That if you were going to the store, say you were going to Old Navy or Gap, that you would be paying more for those items. Those usually will hold a bit more value. They're also typically not as readily available in the live shows, and that's why I think that you could have a market selling those types of items. When I'm looking for substantial pieces, brand and trend can play an important part of how fast they sell and for how much. And that being said, stay on top of your seasons. Know what is selling currently, seasonally, and make sure that you are sourcing and listing those items. You can sell items all year round, but you do get the best dollar when you are selling in the proper season. Tip number 3, comp search everything. Seriously, so much has changed in the last 2 years in reselling. And if you are not comp searching items, you probably have a lot of stuff sitting around. Shoppers are being wise with their money. They are being frugal. Items that used to sell for like $60 for me are now selling for $40. So I have to be careful when I am outsourcing. When I'm doing the comp searching, I'm looking at what have previous items sold for. And for comp searching, you're almost better to do this on eBay, even though I feel like items sell for different dollar amounts between the two platforms. But you can get a true sold on eBay. Also, I would be looking at what is currently available. So if you know the brand and the style, what's on Poshmark right now, in your size, in your color. If there's a ton and the prices that they're listed for aren't what you're hoping to get, I probably wouldn't pick up the item. You are going to be competing with those items. So this is also where like picking up substantial and unique items can play in your favor, because there's far less market to compete with. When you're always grabbing those mall brands, you're competing with a lot of people, and that makes it harder for you to sell. When paying for the item, it's important that you factor in what is your profit after fees and what is the time that you've put in. So sourcing, prepping, listing, inventorying, and shipping. Is it worth what you're going to make off the item? For me personally, and this is just like my rule of thumb, I need to know that I'm going to profit at minimum $20. That is at minimum. But I am hoping for more. I am looking for items where I'm seeing more than a $20 profit on them, but that is like the minimum of what I will pick up. And it's not $20 from what I listed at, it's like $20, what is the bottom price that I would accept for that item? I hope that makes sense. I know people always ask about how I choose what items I pick up, how I price them. When I price, I try and price relevant to what similar items are listed for. I also probably price a little bit on the higher end, and that's more because I feel like I take really good pictures, I source excellent items, very, very minimal flaws, like if there's any. There's rarely pilling on them. If so, I will prep them, remove it, and my photos are excellent. So those types of things help me demand a higher price for the items that I'm selling. People purchase with more confidence when they are purchasing from my closet. Everything is very clear there. That helps me set my price. Now, if I find an item, I look up what are some comparable solds, and it's pretty close to that $20 mark, I probably will just leave it. Like, unless it's going to be a quick sale, sell within 2 days, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to take the chance on it. I don't want to sit on a bunch of stagnant, stale inventory. And especially with sales being so slow right now, I feel like a lot of us are sitting on more inventory than we normally would. Just as like kind of a little bit of food for thought, I actually leave over 60% of what I find at the thrift store because they do not meet the criteria of what I am looking for profits. Let that sink in. I only grab probably 30 to 40% of what I find because when I look at the values, they just don't meet the mark. That's where you start to make decisions instead of like, oh, but it's so pretty. Oh, but I love it. It doesn't matter. If it doesn't meet your profit margins, don't pick it up. Don't take the chance. Don't take risks right now in your business. This is not the time for us to be risky with our money. You should be making smart purchases for smart sales until everything kind of picks up and turns around. Tip number 3, we are going to talk about the pallet live shows. I want you to be cautious if you are buying pallet pulls from pallet shows, especially if you are hoping to sell that inventory. Here's a few things to think about. These items are usually from last season and they did not sell in the store. So people were not looking for them. People did not like how the styles, the colors, whatever. There's a reason why these are available in a pallet. They just didn't sell in stores. So you have that factor against you when you're trying to resell them. Also, I would be cautious. How many other resellers or live sellers had access to this brand and this style? How many Nordstroms pulled these off the racks? How many of these specific styles and brands are going to be showing up in the resale market within a couple weeks? You will be competing with those. And I speak about this from experience because I personally have bought from Pallet Shows, and I will say most times I sit on the inventory for quite a while. I usually do not get the profit margin that I was hoping for, and some of this is my own fault. So I think that if you are going to do this, you need to do research and you have to be prepared to hold on to these items until they were back in season, because chances are you're going to be trying to sell these outside of the season and these were already available in the store heavily discounted. So just some factors to think about. I do think there are people that run successful businesses doing these, but I think there's a lot of people that either break even or lose money from purchasing these pallet items. And if you're sitting on the inventory for 2 years after you buy it, to me, that's negative. That's like negative assets. Like, you are not making money on it sitting there. So your goal needs to be to turn your inventory, I would say every 3 to 6 months and at least every 12. If you hold on to it through a whole nother season and it's not designer, unique, expensive, things like that, this is just regular items, they're not good purchases. I would try and get rid of those so that you can make room for better items to sell. I know this sounds a little like, I'm like kind of preachy, I feel like, but I honestly just want to share my own personal experiences and what I have seen and what I've witnessed in the reselling community in the last few years, and just hopefully help anyone that's new out there trying to figure out how to make this work, how to make money doing this. Tip number 4, Do market research. This is a huge part of my business. When people are like, oh, you're successful because you sell this, or you're successful because you do this. No, because I did a ton of market research when I first started, and I continue to do market research. I know what's trending. I know what my ideal customer is looking for. I look up sold. So this is a really like pro tip. If I could share anything that I think would help you build brand knowledge, what's selling, trends, aesthetics, things like that, it is looking up sold. So all this takes is 10 minutes when you go to bed, laying in bed, search by different categories and different prices. When I look, I tend to set mine for over $50 because that's my ideal ASP, and I will select categories that are applicable to the season. So right now I would be looking at like sweaters, jackets, boots, what is currently selling right now. Now we are also kind of getting to the mid of winter and almost heading into spring. So I like to be before the next season. I will also be looking up like shorts, sandals, blouses, anything that would be a good summer item, dresses. What are people buying right now in those categories? What are the trends that you see for brands, colors, material content, patterns out of the solds that you are looking at? And if you just do this 10 minutes before bed, like 5 days a week, I promise in 3 weeks, you will be sourcing differently. You will have more knowledge in what is selling and what people are buying right now on the Poshmark app. Hands down, this is like the easiest way to do market research. Also, you can apply this to eBay. You can look through eBay solds and see what's selling there too, but I do feel like Poshmark may be a little bit more trend and aesthetic sensitive. And tip number 5, this is the last one. We do have a little bit of information to go after, but tip number 5, have a discount strategy. I use Posh Sidekick, which I'm affiliate for, so I need to state that. It is an automation tool that shares my closet and sends offers to potential buyers when they like an item. I'm going to share what my discount strategy is, but I recommend you try different ones until you figure out what works for you in your business with your closet and the inventory that you are selling. So I have my automatic offers to send a 20%. Someone likes an item, within 30 minutes, Posh Sidekick will send a 20% offer discount to them. This is my first tier of discount. Once a week on the weekends, I will send out a 30% offer using the Make Offers to Likers feature, and this is in the Posh Seller Tools. And then once a month, usually on long weekends, I don't know, I just feel like people shop on long weekends, they travel on long weekends, they have a bit more access to their phone maybe. I will do a 40% off to bundles, but when I do this, I'll use the My Shoppers feature. I will add the items to a bundle. I will send the offer. When I do a 40% or more discount, I do not offer a shipping discount. They are already getting a heavily discounted item, and that usually works for me. That's just what I do. I am open to reasonable offers all the time, but this is how I set up my automation. If you are interested in trying out Posh Sidekick, you can check it out down below. I have a link for them. Okay, so I hope this helps you if you have chosen not to do live shows. I really want to hit home that you do not have to do live shows in 2024 to make money, to make sales. I think what you have to do is just become a better reseller, and knowledge is power. To become a better reseller, you just have to do the research. You have to know what people are currently shopping for. It may also make you change your sourcing strategies, which isn't always a bad thing. I've had to change some of my sourcing strategies as well. I think it's possible. I totally think it's possible. Also, the economy is just really bad right now. I think things will start to turn around in the next few weeks. We just need people to get past the Christmas bubble where they have spent up money, racked up their credit cards. Everyone needs to get their bills paid. And then I'm hoping things start to turn around later in 2024 as the economy starts to recover. But I'm hoping we've kind of hit the slowest part and it will improve. Also, you have to understand that there's ebbs and flows in reselling. It's not always going to be the gold rush. You know, we have droughts, things go up and down. And I think you just have to be prepared for that. You have to mentally understand there are going to be times where you make lots of sales, and then there's going to be times where it's as slow as molasses. And then I think just one more thing, because I've been getting this question a lot. I've also seen it popping up a ton on Facebook groups and just all over the place on social media. If you are not moving any items in your closet, you are not making sales, you haven't made a sale in months, it is what you are selling. And you can feel offended, you can be angry at me for saying it, but I'm gonna say it. It's what you're selling, okay? So what you are selling, people are not looking for. And it may have sold for you a year ago, but those business models aren't necessarily working right now in 2024. So my recommendation is, if you have not made sales and you want to move some inventory, pull some, take it to a buy-sell trade, get cash for it, and go to the thrift store with knowledge in your hand. You know what I mean? Do your comp searching, do your research, and try and make some better purchases, and try and maybe start fresh a little bit in the year. But yeah, you should be making some sales. That needs to be stated. It needs to be put out into the internet. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out of here. I hope this has helped you. I hope it has fueled your fire in reselling. I hope it ignites you in 2024. It just gives you some tidbits to help you find success in your business. If you have any questions, anything you want to add, please drop down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Maybe you have some tips that you would like to share with your fellow resellers or new sellers that are here trying to make this work. Don't give up. Please don't give up. You can do it. You just got to do some research, right? Power is knowledge, guys. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my channel. I gotta send you guys lots of sales, lots and lots of sales, sending you the magic, and I will see you next time. Bye.